With that holy Chuck, Todd, these numbers, man, are, well, you introduce everybody.
Okay, joining us
jumping
now,
right in.
NBC News political director, that is what you do, and host of the Daily Rundown, Chuck Todd. Hello, Chuck.
Well, good morning, Nika.
Those are quite some numbers that you have for us this morning.
That you're carrying around in your back pocket.
Along with the Center for American Progress's Christy Hefner, and history professor at Rice University, Douglas Brinkley. His new book, Cronkite, is now out in paperback. Okay, really great group.
First of all,
the numbers.
Congratulations about the Dodgers.
I know, it's so exciting.
Dodgers, Cardinals, Nationals,
as
good as it
the
gets.
boomerang effect.
And then you get the Tigers and the Red Sox.
I'm still scarred by two things, though, when the Cardinals are playing and the Dodgers are playing the NLCS.
Yeah.
Jack Clark and Tom Niedenfuhr.
Yeah.
And to this day, why Tommy Lasorda didn't walk Jack Clark in Game 6. Anyway, sorry.
Okay,
I know.
All right, so NBC News Wall Street Journal poll showing this boomerang effect, indicating how the strategy by some Republicans, Chuck Todd, has backfired. Number of Americans who think Obamacare is a good idea has risen to 38%, up 7 points from September. And now half of all Americans oppose eliminating all funding for the president's health care law. The fight for a smaller federal government is also losing steam. 52% say the government should be doing more to solve our nation's problem. And looking ahead to the 2014 midterm elections, 47% say Democrats should control Congress. 39% believe Republicans should retain control.
That's about as wide a spread, Chuck, as I've seen in some time, and the 24% approval rating for the Republicans. Pretty bad.
So, Joe, I went through and I realized, boy, I'm trying to find, is there a good number? Is there a good number in
what's the good news for my party?
Right, and I was looking at it,
good news.
and I was like, and then I looked at the top of the poll, and I went, oh, 2013. That's the only good news in this poll, is that it was conducted in 2013. Other than that,
weeks of lifetime in politics.
Joe, there are numbers here that the Republican Party is getting on Shutdown that your Republican Congress in 1995 didn't get. John Boehner and Ted Cruz has successfully done what Newt Gingrich couldn't do. Get a majority of the country to blame the Republicans rather than a plurality. Get a 40% of Republicans to blame Republicans, saying Republicans are picking politics over the good of the country. Now, those were numbers that even Newt Gingrich, back when everybody looking back thought Newt Gingrich was ruining the Republican Party with what he was doing, he couldn't achieve, if you want to put it in those terms. There is no, you look at here, and there is no part of this poll, and the boomerang effect that Mika was just mentioning. I mean, it is amazing that Ted Cruz starts this crusade. Healthcare is now, I would say, less unpopular. Okay, it's still a net negative, but it is less unpopular.
We're close to
we're close to basically a 1-to-1,
a
1-to-1 split. And now we've hit a majority where people say don't defund health care.
I mean, can you imagine? And it's impossible. I mean, it's impossible taking Ted Cruz and this terrible strategy out of it. But can you imagine how low Obamacare numbers would go if they had not done this?
No shutdown.
And then they did the launch, and then as NBC showed yesterday, that it's just the launch is just going terribly online. The Republicans have basically saved the administration from a difficult launch.
Chuck, do you think part of the problem for the Republicans is also that, to the extent that there was some and still is some sense of both sides need to do more, the Democratic representative of that is the president, in the sense that he doesn't negotiate enough. And when you go into the midterms, it's not the president who's running, whereas it's the Republican Party that seems to be stained by this behavior, not just a few individuals.
Well, no, but that's right. No, it's the Republican Party is taking the brunt of this. There's no doubt on that front. I think that you can't discount, the president can't have a low job approval rating in his midterm election. I mean, if he does, then Democrats are going to take it on the chin and they're going to lose. But what the Republicans have done, the president's numbers have actually ticked up. What was happening pre-shutdown is you started having Democrats starting to fade away from the president. We had I think it was three polls in a row where the president had less than 80% of Democrats approving of the job he was doing. It had fallen below that mark. And during the Bush second term, once that happened, it happened about August of 2005 among Republicans, were less than 80. Then that was the beginning. That was the tipping point. So the president was sitting on that tipping point. Well, what did Shutdown do? It rallied the Democrats right back around the president. Meanwhile, the Republican Party is totally split. And by the way, it is two Republican parties now. we have non-Tea Party Republicans and Tea Party Republicans that are thinking the exact opposite thing on some of these issues.
You know what? That has been a media narrative in the past that I've denied.
It's
Republican.
Real. It's real.
I looked at the numbers last night, and I said, Doug Brinkley, these are two parties. There are two parties. You look at the 21% or so that support the Tea Party in America, the 24% that support the Republicans. Those are two different groups now.
They are. And